Alright, don't mind the scope setup. I don't know where my microphone is, so it might sound a little bad, but we'll work with what we got. Before I begin, I want to shout out the legend that is Internet Pissed Off for the huge inspiration this man has given me for not only making this video, but the entire topic as well. Being the huge FGC head that I am, going to tournaments and trying out every possible fighting game there is, and fashion being the second most influential thing in my life right next to it, there is bound to be some crossover between the two, but not that crossover. I'm gonna dive into some of their influences, my favorite renditions of specific characters, their outfits and styles, and overall yap about how fire their fits I think they are. Takashi Nishiyama is the creator of many of these designs in Street Fighter and had the biggest impact. Something about the stylistic choices in the way the characters move and executed their moves in the game were some drawing points for some people. Other than the obvious crazy visuals, some areas that might have been overlooked by some people could have been what the actual characters were wearing. And what better way to show off a more iconic look than Street Fighter's best girl, Chun Li. There are a lot of iterations of Chun-Li's designs from different eras, from her debut in Street Fighter 2 to her look in Street Fighter Alpha that gave her a more athletic approach wearing sneakers, casual pants, and a top to match, to her current look in Street Fighter 6. Alright, the GOAT, Takashi Nishiyama, wanted to make the characters timeless. This led to him ignoring his own personal styles and interests and ignoring all trends at the time, because he thought that the stylistic choices that he would make back then would have negative repercussions towards him now or in the future. Even so, with this ideology that he had with his approach to his character designs, with things like Japanese punk fashion, still manages to slip into Chun-Li stylistic choices, those being her black spiked bracelet and her combat-esque boots, contrasted with the spiked bracelets that she has, and making her combat boots white to complement the rest of her fit makes her one of my favorite characters in Street Fighter. Alright, moving on from the multitude of influences that I can talk about in fashion within Street Fighter itself, I want to move on to another franchise with another one of my favorite characters in any fighting game. Tekken being another obvious stylized game, from the dynamic backgrounds to the multitude of choices that the characters have. My favorite character, Kazuya Mishima. Kazuya, in his early stages, was going for a more of a martial artist type of look. His character design later evolved to this mobster bossman type of look. This shows his development in his maturity, and this is shown through not only his personality but in what he wears as well. Through the story, he takes over his family's company and uses his power to lead the company into a more of a Yakuza type of business. My personal favorite outfit of his has to include the jeans, tank top / sneaker look, and to complete the fit that he had, his red iconic gloves from his earlier debuts in his martial artist type of look. This fit goes so hard. Imagine having this casual outfit and you're fighting for your life against a giant brown bear trying to get the title in the King of the Iron Fist tournament. Alright, but this cannot be a video without the fighting game that literally embodies style, and I am obviously referring to Guilty Gear. With the creator Daisuke, who was literally inspired by rock and metal bands, His work embodies all the influence he's made out of. Completely different from the designs in Street Fighter. Characters like Johnny, who had huge Western influences with his big cowboy hat and who carries a big ass sword. He has huge belts because this is anime after all, and it ties it all together with his black on black aesthetic. In game, it translates so well, having a coin that he tosses at you nonchalantly and his badass sword that literally takes off like the entire screen. This being the small Guilty Gear segment I have in the video, I have to talk about one of my favorite characters overall, Happy Chaos.
It took me 10 years to find the answer to something. I forgot about it in 2 seconds. That's about it.
Some of you fellas that know Guilty Gear might absolutely despise this character, but hear me out for a second. He is by far hugely crafted with so much detail, from his block animation to what he wears or what he doesn't wear in the game. Rocking the big loose sweatshirt that drapes around his upper body, not wearing anything under it, displaying his tattoo markings on his chest, his jeans held up by his anime belt, small white belt that accents his entire design, and the holster holds his revolvers, the Crescent Moon, and the other revolver being a replica. But low key, having the dogs out is kind of wild. He was loosely based off of the young Iggy Pop who performed his shows shirtless. And he was also hugely inspired by the band Nirvana. You can see these influences with his blocking animation having the giant smiley face and his X-shaped sunglasses that are also inspired by the band's logo. This goes to show how his influences managed to create and stylize the entire design. The design Happy Chaos was given with his lax outfit translates seamlessly towards his personality, being very laid back, charismatic, and almost detached in a way. By far my favorite Guilty Gear design. Circling back to another one of Takashi's character designs, Terry Bogard, who was originally supposed to be used in the Street Fighter games when Street Fighter debuted, but later was scrapped in order to use Ryu. He was obviously then used for his own games in Fatal Fury and The King of Fighters back in 1994. You can tell this fella has Americano inspiration towards his outfits, with his rendition in his trucker hat and his ripped leather jacket with his bootcut jeans. Red on red is probably his most iconic look, but his rendition in his brown leather jacket with his high bootcut jeans and his brown boots is honestly unmatched between any other design he has. Believe it or not, his overall aesthetic was inspired by Lauren DeVito. You can tell a lot of these characters were heavily inspired by Western culture with their clothing like jeans and their long hair. Even the characters themselves with their attitude and demeanor is what Japan thought Americans looked and sounded like. Very loud outfits and very loud personalities. To close things up, I wanted to initially say to go play fighting games. Fighting games are this amazing, magnificent video game. It took a while for me to make this script. I have been writing it, and even now it feels really short, but I hope that any of these characters piqued your interest, and if you know any of the fighting game characters, let me know. I had to pick very specific characters that I thought looked pretty cool, but I would love to make another video again. Peace. This shows his development, his maturity, and it also translates through his personality. What? What am I saying? Read the script, bro.